Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Nerdiacs. Thanks for joining in with us. We got my man Adrian Murphy, aka Daredevil, over here. You see his shoes. His shoes are fresh to death. He's all decked out.
Hey world, Prophet Alpha here. I've posted pictures of these Daredevils, the Air Force Ones, on my Facebook page before, so they are really fresh to death. Just wanted to share that. But welcome to another episode of Nerdiacs, and I got Ryan over here to my right.
What's up, guys? Ryan from Ryan's Comics, back again, ready to stir the pot a little.
Yeah. Actually, before we even start, I want to correct Ryan real quick on something he said on the last Nerdiacs podcast when he was talking about the porno film ruining those children's lives playing instead of Frozen. Turns out that porno film was Lawrence von Trier's Nymphomaniac movie that's coming out next year. So now we have a title to that.
Why are they putting Nymphomaniac trailer in front of
a Nymphomaniac with a Disney?
I would be upset.
Frozen.
I love Disney.
Yeah.
That ruined my whole Disney experience.
Your whole rebuttal against Ryan is still invalid because it's still.
Gentlemen,
they don't go together.
I was just clarifying what it was. I was just
You're trying to prove Ryan wrong. He's like, okay, and so it's still a porno. Nympho, Frozen. I got my little girl there. Nymphomaniac.
He would call it art.
Yeah, I guess he would.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to start us off with
The good, bad, and ugly.
my good for this week is the Godzilla trailer. There's only one word I think that can describe this trailer, and that is epic. It was too good. I mean, we're really seeing the scale that this film is going to bring to the big screen. The last Godzilla film that we had here in America was over 10 years ago. I believe it was 1998, starring Matthew Broderick. So I think it's time for a new one. And the great thing, I think, about this Godzilla film coming out next year is that we had Pacific Rim come out this year that really just wet our buds, just for...
Wet or wet? Go ahead.
It really just got us all ready for this big monster destruction type thing. So I'm really excited about Godzilla. The trailer just looks epic. Check it out however you can. And that comes out May 16th, 2014.
Hey, I did see that trailer, and one of the things that I noticed about it is that it really seems like a monster movie more than it does like, okay, you think it's a Godzilla movie? No, because it's got Bryan Cranston, everybody knows him as Walter White from the best television series ever created, Breaking Bad. But you actually see him crying in the trailer like something devastating had actually happened. So, yeah, that's what I have to agree with you on that good as far as the Godzilla trailer, because it was a monster movie. It wasn't it wasn't your typical... Yeah.
I think Godzilla needed a boost because I haven't seen anything in a long time. And as far as, comic books go, the comics, they have a good fan base, but they're so bland, and it needed a reboot. And I hope that, the comic book world, goes off of this new movie and puts out some more realistic, quote unquote realistic Godzilla movies.
It could be a nice shot in the arm.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, my good is I am going with the Superman Batman casting, right? All right, so this movie is expanding at nuclear levels. I mean, they just cast the girl from the previous Fast and Furious movies. I think she died in the sixth one. But she's going to be Wonder Woman now, right? And so there's been some... She fits the profile as far as her face, but there's been some trepidation as far as her physique. But, Hollywood, they play a lot of tricks. There's a lot of steroids and exercise going on in there, so I'm pretty sure...
It's the best of Stallone diet.
I'm pretty sure her name is Gal Gadot. She's from Israel. She's going to be playing Wonder Woman, so I'm pretty sure she'll fit the bill when it's time for her to be on screen.
She looks a lot like the mother of my children.
Well, I would like to see her in the Star Crown.
Future mother.
Yeah. I want to see her in the Star Crown. There's another thing. There's another actor, Jason Momoa. You might have seen him in Game of Thrones. He was also the latest version of Conan. You know what? He's been in talks. I don't know if he's confirmed, but just their interest in him kind of piques me because his look doesn't really seem more like a Superman villain. I'm thinking he might be more tie-in with the Ben Affleck Batman, even though this is a Superman sequel, but I think in the building, because they're building up to Justice League, they're going to introduce Gail Gadot as Wonder Woman. So, there's going to have to be some layer of enemies in it. So, just speculation for me. Maybe he might be a Ra's al Ghul, or maybe. And since Marvel has Vin Diesel as Thanos and Groot, he could be DC's equivalent to Vin Diesel saying, "Hey, he might be Darkseid."
Yeah,
he could look like a Darkseid.
maybe what if type. Yeah.
Well, if you put the makeup on him, he kind of fits that dark look. I mean, they're going to copy a little bit. They all copy off of each other.
Now, I've been known to predict a few things myself. I'm not Prophet Alpha, obviously.
Yeah, Prophet Alpha. Is good.
Obviously,
we're killing it.
But do you think that, with all this stuff going on, that they might just nix the Batman vs Superman name altogether, change it and just make it a Justice League movie?
I want to say no. First of all, just because they seem to almost explicitly say that this is going to be a Man of Steel sequel, a Superman sequel. I don't even think an official name has actually come out. I think we've just been calling.
That's what I'm
They're
saying.
teasing it. They're teasing the Batman vs Superman because they're going off of what Zack Snyder did at Comic-Con.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously know these characters are going to be in it, but
even with Jason Momoa, maybe even being like a Martian Manhunter,
You said his name right. I didn't say his name right. Thank you.
Do you think at that point they could just be like, whoa, this is turning into something bigger? Can this really be a true sequel, or can we just change the name? Do you think it would be acceptable to change the name?
I think it will be a true sequel, but I will say it's starting to sound a lot like when we watched Iron Man 2 for the first time. We were getting a lot of, maybe not a lot, but we got Black Widow and we got Nick Fury in there as well that had pretty big roles in Iron Man 2 and stuff like that. So I don't know how big of a role these characters will have, but it almost seems like they're leading
Zack
up
Snyder's
to
going to make a 3-hour movie.
In DC, there's a lot more. The characters are more iconic as far as the big names. So in Marvel, they could throw a lot of small names. Like I know Nick Fury is prominent in the Marvel universe, but he's not really A-list, obviously. But he's still up there. Sure. He's a B+ at least. But even adding him in, for me, it wasn't a big deal.
Sure.
Because it made the storyline flow way better.
As much as the Martian Manhunter.
I mean, look at Zack Snyder's tradition. I mean, if you go back to even Watchmen, which is a spectacular comic book movie, it's almost 3 hours long. So you got to expect that whatever name that they name this, even if it's a sequel to Man of Steel, it's going to be at least 3 hours long because they're going to have to cover at least an hour worth of Superman, hopefully an hour worth of Ben Affleck as Batman. They have to do an hour. Give a girl, because her name is Gail Gadot. She's. I don't know if she can carry a movie by herself as Wonder Woman because I don't see.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. Is that
go
I
ahead.
think Martian Manhunter would be big enough to carry his own movie.
Yes, he would.
Because you can see the whole Martian universe. You can meet all other characters, and then with the new Wonder Woman coming out. Who says that she's even going to have a big role? She might just show up at the end.
That's what I'm thinking too. Maybe this is just getting people excited. I mean, for all we know, maybe she just has a little part at the end.
It might be even tying. It might even be like a video conference call from Themyscira to the president. You don't know how far this is going to go. So.
And as my nerdy knowledge goes, Martian Manhunter theoretically is more powerful than Superman.
Yeah.
Now, you might not know who Martian Manhunter is if you're listening to our podcast, but if you really check his history, Martian Manhunter is the only character in the DC universe that can match him pound for pound and kill Superman.
Except for Flash can go back in time and kill him as a baby. But that's a whole other story.
You could write it anyway.
That's a whole other story.
You could write it anyway. But go ahead.
All right, so my good is going to comic books is Dark Knight series for Batman is ending. Greg Hurwitz and David Finch have been working on it. David Finch started the series carrying over from pre-New 52. And even from the beginning, Dark Knight for me was very separate from the rest of the DCU. And when I see Batman, I want to read. If I'm going to read a Batman title, Batman Detective, Batwing, Nightwing, I wanted the whole universe to connect in some way or another. If Batman's in space in his title, I want him to be in space in all the titles. And I felt Dark Knight was very off that path. And for some readers, it was really good because they didn't want to have to do all the connecting stories. But it was just another Bat title at that point. We already had enough. I think we counted like 11 or 12 Bat-related titles on the wall.
I got lost in those, man, for real.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight one especially. I did like the David Finch start,
right?
But I got lost.
His art's extraordinary. The stories are bland. I'm not trying to hate on it. I like it a lot, obviously. I like pretty much anything with Batman in it.
Snyder's dominating that. Batman
Snyder's
run.
dominating the universe, and he stepped away from it, which was cool. But like I said, too many Bat titles. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad it's ending, so we can start reducing all the, the books that aren't really with the, the main idea.
Make it a bit more streamlined.
Yes,
and stuff like
exactly.
that.
Because when people come in and they read Superman and Wonder Woman and they read Batman, they're on complete different paths, and so new readers, they get confused, like, well, are they friends, or it's almost like a Marvel DC thing, like, are they even in the same universe at this point? So
Now,
I'm happy to
is
see
that the only I guess you can say series that does not take place in New 52 or something?
No, there's a few.
Okay.
But when it came out as a New 52, all the other Bat titles tied in except for that one.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why it was a little weird. And then, like I said, right now they've expanded on that. As far as all the Bat titles go, there's so many now that they need to start cutting back some. So I'm glad that we're going in that direction. But even with that, I know we were talking about Batman and Superman a little bit. I think it's bad. Right now that's my bad, and I'm gonna say that because I feel like there's too many characters. And normally I'm all about a lot of characters, but when we're talking about Batman, it's a Batman story. If it's Superman, it's a Superman story. Usually they don't tie in too much together. Just call it Justice League, If you're going to have that many people in it, just say it's Justice League. Like, these are the first time these guys are meeting. Just like Avengers. Avengers all met in the same movie, and they was called Avengers. They weren't Avengers in the beginning of the movie, Why do we need to call it a Superman sequel at this point? Obviously, we don't know the script and the way it's going to be driven, but anything with Batman and Wonder Woman and whoever other heroes are going to be in it, at that point, you can't say that it's their movie, because even if Wonder Woman's in the movie for more than 10 minutes, it has to be Justice League movie, because if she has the screen, she's part of the Trinity. That's a big deal for on screen.
Like, you can't just brush that under the rug and say, no, it's still his movie when you're having these iconic characters.
Exactly.
So
in their iconic
it's
roles.
only a bad if you just consider it a Superman, but if they call it Justice League, then it's an epic.
Yes. It's an epic for sure.
Do you guys think
But
that we're
it's
ready
only
for a
bad
Justice
if-
It's
League
only
movie?
bad if it's Batman versus Superman with all these people coming in. And then on top of that, they're talking about even bringing Flash in. And even with his new appearance on the show, which I don't agree with because he doesn't even look like Flash. He has brown hair and brown eyes, and he's supposed to have blonde hair and blue eyes.
I don't like that
But
Arrow Flash. I don't.
I know that's not supposed to be a big thing, but it is for me because if that's his iconic look, if he's even in this one and they don't tie him in, like you were talking about before, Theo, about them tying in from the TV show to the movie, then could that make it a Wally Flash? Can we get a different Flash possibly?
Maybe.
Just like in Marvel, they're going with a different, Ant-Man. Can we get a Wally? That'd be kind of cool. He's not as powerful, so maybe he can fit in with the team a little bit more, because Flash at full power, he can do ridiculous things, and then people will be sitting there questioning why he isn't doing it. So yeah.
Well, to start on my bad, mine is all these mid-season finales. Now, I'm not saying the shows are bad. It's actually the contrary. These shows have been so good for me. A lot of them, Arrow. I'm a big Arrow fan here. Walking Dead, Supernatural. A lot of these shows are going to their mid-season finale, and I don't want to wait until next year. That's it. I don't like this idea of a mid-season finale. Unlike some people here, I don't have families out here on the West Coast, so I need something to get me through this.
I'm your family, dude.
I need something to get me through this lonely Christmas.
You want to come over to my house for Christmas, dude?
I want to come over Oliver Queen's house and watch.
I'm
Black Bruce Wayne, dog.
I live in the same area as you. You can come
You don't
and
invite
watch
me
it on my
over.
3D TV.
You're talking about you're lonely for Christmas, so you want to make mid-season finales your bad?
Yes,
You can't
yes,
watch TV.
yeah. That's
No,
pretty
I
much
agree with
it.
you though. I hate mid-season finales. Growing up, there was no such thing as a mid-season finale. You get 26 episodes in a row, a half a year of your favorite show. That gets you through a lot of stuff. If you had a bad day at school, at work, practice was hard at whatever sport you play, you can come home and get that good episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And now, with Walking Dead, they're making it like a movie cinematic release.
But I can understand your guys' anger over it, but they come back in February. Most season,
February?
technically it's never been announced, but there's always been mid-season hiatuses on all production of all television shows.
February?
But now they just announce it because they want people
It's not always been like that.
Oh, they didn't announce it, but they do it now because they want people to come in and be like,
Oh man.
Yeah, don't you like how he just says stuff like it's fact? Like, no matter what I'm saying right now, there's no contradiction to what I'm saying.
I just
right
know.
now in the
I just
whole
know.
entire universe.
Batman the animated series didn't take a mid-season finale break.
Well, I mean, animated series, they're very difficult
Seinfeld
to
didn't take a
produce.
mid-season finale break.
I don't know. You know what? I'm not a really. I didn't really catch on to Seinfeld until
I'm
maybe
a
the end.
Seinfeldian.
Yeah, so I don't know. How many issues? How many episodes of Seinfeld did they do a year?
A lot.
Was it? I liked The Office. The Office
Enough.
probably did about 25,
Enough.
26. Yeah. All right. My bad. I'm gonna go with. Not only do we have to deal with X-Men: Days of Future Past, but the director just announced or tweeted that there's an X-Men apocalypse.
Yes.
The reason why I say it's my bad because, first of all, it's Fox's further commitment into keeping the X-Men away from what I consider the Marvel Universe, which is Marvel Studios. So that means that the X-Men is further going to be separated, and I think it directly translates to comics. I really do. X-Men used to be the number one selling comic. I mean, X-Men changed the comic world.
Jim Lee.
Jim Lee. Oh, I mean, not just Jim Lee, but you
Chris
could go
Claremont.
back. Chris Claremont and was it not Dave Sterling, but not many artists and writers have written the X-Men over the years with great stories.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't see the whole continuity of it gelling together. I think it's just going to be haphazardly. I don't feel. What's the director's name?
Isn't that kind of how X-Men have been, though, in the history
Bryan
of X-Men?
Singer.
Well, Bryan Singer, I don't think that he really knows the characters as well as
As
Marvel,
far
Marvel
as
Studios.
X-Men as a comic book, though, usually is all over the place since the beginning. They've all been doing their own adventures. It's more about their singular adventures or their adventures more than anything. Like that's why people like Doctor Who because he goes on his adventures.
It's about mutants with the X-Men.
Yeah, it's not about the connecting story like it would be for like the Marvel because even Marvel does
the reason
Infinity.
why it's my bad is because that means that you're never going to. I mean, if you're reading comics, you can see the X-Men joining with the Avengers on missions. You can see X-Men versus the Avengers. Now, hopefully, you never know that how their relationships are going to go. But I think it's all about money anyway. So maybe Fox might cozy up to Marvel Studios a little like Sony might do with Spider-Man.
What if though?
What if that's
Marvel's-
a Marvel? That's a Marvel comic book also.
Yeah, Marvel Studios and Fox gets together to do an Avengers vs X-Men.
I was going to say something along those lines. Do you think
I don't
there's
think
a
it's going to
possibility?
happen.
Do you think there's any type of possibility of crossover?
I don't like anything to do about Fox at all, and that just goes.
I like
down
The
to
Simpsons.
Well, I mean,
It's an interesting
I don't
what
trust
if
the. I don't
question.
trust the studios.
It's usually what if question, but it would be cool if there's a possibility later on, 5-7 years down the road, where you do see characters jump into the thing, like they may own the
But
rights
right now,
Right.
it's not happening, and the reason why it's my bad is because, like, for me, it's all mediocre. I didn't like Days of Future, not Days of Future
First Class.
Past, but First Class. I thought First Class was mediocre at best.
And you know I
Mediocre's-
love First Class.
No, you're not really as experienced at reading X-Men comics as me. I'm sorry, Peter Parker. But Hugh Jackman, he might not be terrible. I heard he feels feelings. Feels like
gonna
it was
leave
like
now.
it was like a gut shot that right there. But Bryan Singer doesn't know the characters, and it's just like I said with Spider-Man. If it's not Marvel Studios, for me, it just is not authentic.
It's all fine and dandy, but you're arguing the point of it not having continuity when X-Men doesn't have continuity in any of their stories.
But that's my point.
So they're doing
Marvel
exactly what
Studios
Oxford
does, and it's still a Marvel. It's still a Marvel property.
Marvel comics, X-Men comics have no continuity. Their
Yes, they
comics
do.
are all over the place.
No, that's not true.
in the
That's not
80s and
true.
90s, they're all over the place.
I can put together a lot of the timeline.
That's
of
fine. You can do that.
Marvel X-Men comics.
But
I really can.
they are all over the
I really
place,
can.
and right now they have.
There's a lot of different stories.
There's
because a lot of
11 different
heroes.
X-Men titles tied in the Marvel universe right now. So you're telling me all 11 of those are tied in?
Not right
No.
now, because I've already said that
And for the last
current
4
state
years of me owning a comic
Marvel
shop and
X-Men
reading more
comics
than
is
both of
in
you
the
guys
flux
combined.
because they've been messing with the time stream.
Guys, I will say this. I think it's going to be very interesting. I think
It's my bad.
It's becoming very interesting when we see Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in Days of Future Past, and then the next year we're going to be seeing them in Avengers too.
And how are they going to do that?
Well, and like
Who's
I said,
legitimate?
like I
Who's
said,
legitimate?
that's I think where the rubber is definitely going to meet the road, because they're going to have to make a decision somewhere or another. Because
Marvel
the public's
Studios is
gonna
going
want
to win
something.
that.
So
people will go to it. People will see it.
So, anyways, Adrian is a bully. Bullying me and Theo over here.
No, I'm not.
X-Men isn't consistent.
I'm not going
No
over your house
continuity.
for Christmas, Adrian. You made me feel bad.
You're invited to my house.
So I have my ugly now. So I like finding the good ugly stories like this. Archie CEO Nancy Silberkleit, I don't know how to say her name, but her name's Nancy, sued for calling men at her place of business a penis. She frequently yells penis, penis, penis in staff meetings. She invites Hell's Angels into the office to intimidate employees. Frequently inquires about location of a handgun and 750 rounds of ammunition she believes her late husband keeps in her office. Why would you? That doesn't even make sense. And she stalks employees and their families. Like, I don't know about the stalking and all this other stuff, but if people is yelling penis in a meeting, is it okay if they're doing it the first time? Is it okay a one-time thing if you're like really intense? Or is it a problem after you do it multiple times?
I say penis all the time at work.
See, here's my question: where does one find a Hell's Angel to come intimidate someone for you?
Where does
Like,
one find a Hell's Angel at an Archie Comics production? Archie Comics, dude. We're talking about Archie.
No, well, here's another thing. Archie's comics, it is successful in its own right, obviously, but maybe there's some weird ties there. Maybe there's some money that's funded it. You never know. Maybe that's a way for them to fund. I'm not trying to go too hard on it as far as that side of it, but
Really, the Hell's Angels may come after you too.
exactly. But do you think that? Oh, and she said that it wasn't a big deal, basically, and that white males could basically not be discriminated against. So I don't know if this lady's like smart or like, how are you the CEO of Archie, and you actually these awards are coming out of your
Is she
mouth?
senile?
My question is for you, Ryan Haggerty, owner of Ryan's Comics. Do you sell Archie Comics?
I do.
Do they sell?
They do.
Really? They have a good audience?
He's so confused.
It was very weird when I first started with kids comics. I was like, I don't know, and people kept asking for it, so I was like, I'm gonna carry a lot of kids comics. Next thing you know, we sell a lot of kids comics. I was like, okay, cool.
Good.
Archie just always kind of stayed the same, 2 or 3 months. Then out of nowhere, it just hits people out here. Maybe it's because our demographic, we're suburbs. There's people that are 40s, 50s at that area, so they relate with the comics more. Where like people come in and they swoop those up, and even like my older ones, I'll put them in the kids section. I'll have grown men coming in and just grabbing stacks of Archie. And it's pretty crazy. There's a lot of collectors of Archie, of specifically Archie.
But they've been around for a while.
They've been around for a long time.
So is it vintage Archie that they're looking for, or is it the new Archie? Because Archie has been going through kind of a story change.
When there's a sports athlete who does something like this or something like that, it's all over the news, and then people stop supporting that company. So now, if she wins her lawsuit for sexual harassment inside the workplace, should we support the children's book Archie?
That's a big question.
As long as they write penis somewhere in the Archie comic.
I think
Veronica, my penis.
I think the interesting thing, is that we don't know. I don't think any
that's
of us
really
are the target audience of Archie. So unlike a sports player, which you may have something more invested in them, we're just kind of looking at this incident from afar. I'm like, man, that's just weird. But I also think it's weird that people are just reading Archie still. So it's just weird
that
altogether.
surprises me.
And my last thought on Archie, honestly, is that even with this happening, I started to question, the whole big picture of Archie in itself. So the first thing I was thinking about is there's all these characters are very, very labeled in the comic series, and obviously back in the day that's okay because that's what it was back then.
Yeah.
But now it's not really supposed to be like that, and it's kind of stuck the same. And then I hear Hell's Angel, I'm like, are they still stuck? And then on top of that, like Archie, Betty and Veronica has always been fighting over Archie, and they even had a series
Fighting over what? His penis?
Maybe that's what she was trying to explain to them. Maybe she was trying to
Lock on this
motivate
word.
every person about that. But anyways, so him basically.
That was funny, guys. That was funny.
This is our most serious topic we've ever tackled.
You like how we can analyze this now? So even the message they're trying to send, saying that men can have two women and it's okay, and they do something like this, I don't really understand where the morals. Like, I'm not really seeing Archie in a good light right now. And
Did you
they're
say that Archie had two women?
Betty and Veronica have been fighting over Archie since day one.
Archie's the man.
He's married both of them in the series. Like,
Yes.
and they're always competing for him. Like, if I'm a little daughter, I don't want her to see women act like that.
Well, when you
I want her to think that she's a goddess and a trophy, and that men have to work hard for her.
Well, I agree with that as a father with two daughters. But as a man, I mean, I think Betty and Veronica fighting over Archie, you're ugly, but that's my epic. What's your ugly, Theo? I don't know. That would be my epic. That's right. Go ahead.
Well, my ugly is about the most hated man on television and on social media, according to a new study. Today is National Hates King Joffrey from Game of Thrones. If you don't know who Joffrey is, he is a person with not one redeemable quality. And so today, HBO said that we're all just going to bash him on Twitter and stuff like that, which is a pretty awesome thing to do. So technically, my ugly isn't really necessarily a bad thing, but it's just the character is so ugly. Jack Gleason, the character who plays him, he's actually a really, really nice guy. There's a video on YouTube when he's doing a questionnaire with the classroom that's really fascinating. He talks about how he doesn't really watch the shows and like some of his favorite scenes and who is the most fun to have on set and stuff like that. Unfortunately, he says he will be leaving acting after Game of Thrones. He says it's not so fun for him now. It's definitely like a job, and he wants to like focus on other things as well. So what I'm hoping, Jack, is that he will take a break, he'll do his thing, and then he comes back because he's a very, very talented actor. If you watch King Joffrey, he pulls it off so convincingly. So that was my ugly.
He's weak in the show, though, right? Like, he's like getting bullied around by everybody, though, right?
It's an interesting character, to say the least. You've got this kid who has all this power and doesn't deserve any of it at all, but he's been taught that he was, Prince since the very beginning, and I haven't read the books. I just say so. Like, I don't know what happens to him or anything like that. So
I still have to get into the show. I only watched the last season, as we talked about before.
That's right.
Yeah, my ugly is the Wachowski brothers. If you don't know who the Wachowski brothers are, they are the brother duo who really created the Matrix movie trilogy. Now they just released a trailer for Jupiter Ascending. Okay. You see the trailer, it's very futuristic looking, and it's got Channing Tatum as the lead role, and Mila Kunis is somewhere in there as one of the damsels in distress. What are you guys doing? First of all, everybody wants the Matrix. You guys are going... Oh, come on, man. Everybody knows that you go back to what made you your money, guys. Come on. The Matrix, just the first movie alone left itself, when you were talking about the previous Neos that had been born, left itself to prequels, if not sequels. Why are you guys going with Jupiter Ascending? And please don't try to be creative and say that it has something to do with the Matrix, because it doesn't. It does not. This is your attempt to try to establish Channing Tatum as the new Neo for whatever, and the makeup looked horrible in the trailer. I don't know if he was from Jupiter in the trailer, but I was not feeling it. I got into it on a social media site that we kind of frequent, and I was really kind of hammering it, and I just don't like it. Go back to the Matrix. That's what people are wanting. People might pan Matrix.
Matrix is dead to me.
No. But listen. Well, the Matrix Revolutions and then Matrix. Which one was the second?
Reloaded was the second one.
Reloaded and Revolutions.
Yeah.
Come on, as a trilogy, it is a decent trilogy.
Even though you say no to me saying it's dead.
No.
It's dead to me.
No. I'm not trying to say that.
Is.
But I'm talking about as far as people would clamor to go see that. So why are they Why are they going
The
someplace
Matrix
else?
is definitely a cash cow, and I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't like the second or the third one, but I'll be first in line to see more
I like 'em
Matrix
all.
anything.
I like them all. It's not a perfect trilogy. There's only one perfect trilogy. And we kind of are going to go into that as the topic of the day, right?
Yeah, I think we'll be talking about in a little bit. So, Ryan, I know you wanted to. Let's touch on these reviews real quick because I'm really interested in this topic of the day. I know this is going to be some good combos. So let's burn through these bad boys.
Yeah, I recently got my PS4, got my 4K flat screen, loving it. And I got a bunch of new games. I actually got all the PS4 games.
I saw that. You put it on my Facebook page.
I like to, how I roll. So, I'm a big sports game guy. I like shooters. I like RPGs as well. And I never played Assassin's Creed though. I always hear how good it is, and the new Assassin's Creed that came out, Black Flag, is amazing. Mostly because you're an actual pirate, and out of everything I could have ever done, I didn't know I could actually want to be a pirate so much in my life. And when I say a pirate, I really mean you're a pirate. You're on a boat.
You're not the Jack Sparrow pirate.
It's basically Pirates of the Caribbean. That's basically what the game is. And you're going around, and you have your ship. You can upgrade your ship. You can upgrade your cannons. You can shoot out fire barrels behind you. So if ships are trailing you, you can throw out barrels, and they can run into them and do damage to them. So they have to avoid it, so you can get away from guys. It's pretty cool. Like, it goes into detail. You can take over forts. In each island there's a fort, and you can take it over. Like, and when I say fort, I mean like there's like cannons on these things, and you have to like go around the island and just break it down. And then when you get in there, you can get on the island, invade it, and just take it over. It's like you're really a pirate. You could get treasure. And since it's an Assassin's Creed game, on top of everything else, not even just the pirate part, you're still an assassin. Mm-hmm. So you hit these islands, and you have little missions that you can do, like assassin missions, obviously, and get paid to kill people. And you have to kill them different ways. You have to stalk them, follow them, kill them a certain way. And the game just keeps going deeper and deeper.
How long is the gameplay?
I've played 15 hours, and I'm going to tell you, I don't like rushing through games. I like to enjoy the whole experience of them. And I'm probably about 15 to 20 hours in, and I'm only like 20% in. I don't even think I've gotten to 20%.
That's good.
But there's a lot of times where I'm, just checking stuff out, checking out the scenery. There's a lot of little trinkets that you can find. Like, there's like hidden treasure chests in every map. There's like these little things here and there, and I just try to complete each island before I leave them because of all the missions. I want to hit every individual thing, like I say, and get the full experience. Yeah. So I've been having a lot of fun with it though. It's a great game. It probably should win an award this year, and even on the TV, it's flawless. Like, I almost feel like the game can't keep up with the TV, which is fine. I'm actually happy about that, knowing that they're going to be putting better stuff out. Mm-hmm. But Assassin's Creed, as far as graphics and gameplay, I haven't played it. I'm getting the excitement that I get when I play Metal Gear Solid, when I'm playing this game. And Metal Gear Solid, if you don't know,
one of your favorites.
It's my favorite franchise of all time. Yes.
Your 4K TV is more advanced than the game is?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that I'm noticing on there. It actually has like a little halo effect around like movement of like characters and stuff sometimes, because that frame rate's so fast. It's just like, oh, where you at?
Well, I'm sure with probably a couple of system updates and some stuff like that, like that'll be prepared for it. So.
I want to buy a new television. I'm in the market, and I keep looking at that 4K. But
I highly recommend it. I'm gonna watch Hobbit tonight, and it was filmed with a 4K camera, and I have the 4K upscaler, player, so I want to see how great it looks. I was gonna watch it in 3D tonight, but I think I'm just gonna watch it in 4K just so I can see how amazing it is.
Ryan's eyes are gonna bleed from that stuff.
Is it 3D?
Yeah, it's in 3D Blu-ray.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I love the 3D glasses on the Samsung 4K.
Yeah,
they're really nice.
Yeah, they're nice glasses and they're comfortable. And the cool thing I didn't realize is that the way the glasses are made, I think Theo knows a little bit more about how the glasses are than I do. But when you lay down, everything's still 3D. No matter how you look, it's 3D. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if I want to wear glasses the whole time I'm watching TV. A guy told me this today. A guy that wears glasses on a day-to-day basis said, I don't know if I want to watch TV with 3D glasses on all the time. Dude, you always wear glasses. What's the big deal?
It's even
I'd say
more. It's
2 out of
better.
3 of us right here
How
wear
do you see if
glasses,
you have
so-
if you're nearsighted or farsighted with 3D though?
And
I've
honestly,
never thought about
I
that.
feel like I get more into the movie because it actually cuts my peripherals off.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
I can't really see anything, especially the lights are off. So I feel like I'm more focused in on the TV. So
So
it
you
actually
see-
is better
you
enjoyment.
see better than regular people.
I really do. And I have my glasses on top of that, so I'm just like, this is amazing.
So you put your glasses on and your 3D glasses.
yeah,
Ryan's about to get lost in Mueller today.
exactly.
Well, my review, I'm going to kind of go on this whole mid-season finale thing, but actually this was the season finale of Sons of Anarchy. Now,
Was it mid-season or season?
it's the actual season finale because Sons of Anarchy, they filmed, each episode is an hour and a half.
I don't mean to cut you off, but in the whole season, mid-season finale, now if there's a mid-season finale and we have to wait a long time for the rest, and then there's a season finale, you got to wait a long time for the next one. Does that mean there's never a finale, really? Like, is it a continuous loop of just things
Sons of
happening?
Anarchy will not be out until next September. They're pretty much religious on that.
So they're a
but
whole year.
Kurt Sutter, who directs it, he does, each episode is about an hour and a half.
Okay.
So if he does 13 episodes, technically you're getting
Yeah.
a long season because each episode is an hour and a half.
I thought they're only an hour. So
No.
that's
This
like a mini
season, the
movie.
last 2 seasons, he's been doing an hour and a half each episode.
That's
And so
cool.
he puts it in there. The reason why I say that is because I know that everybody clamored about Breaking Bad and everything like that. But before Breaking Bad, there was Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy had a following before Breaking Bad. It started with me when I was in Afghanistan, and my boy John Montano gave me, we called it a Haji fake copy of it, but it spread through the camp like wildfire. Sons of Anarchy, and I've been a fan ever since. But the reason why I say it's my review because, man, it was so significant this season because you lost 2 characters. You lost Clay Morrow, and what happened in the season finale is Gemma actually killed.
Hold on, time out. I actually had a customer come in and tell me that we should announce spoiler alert on current seasons
Okay.
of stuff.
Spoiler
he said
alert.
he said if there was a past season, that's cool, and I agreed with him that if it's a season's already done and it's already the next season already started, go for it. But we should announce spoiler alert before we name any spoilers.
Well, you just announced it.
There you go.
So, this season finale, spoiler alert that Ryan just mentioned, Gemma killed Tara. That, for me, was very tragic because Tara has been around since the beginning of the show. She was the one who kind of set Jax on a path of redemption. But because Jax is so far involved in the club and there's so much history between Jax's dad and Clay Morrow, who was killed earlier on in the season, that it just feels like Jax is on a descent that he is never going to come back from. So with Gemma killing Tara, who was Jax's wife, his longtime sweetheart, and there's still more seasons to go.
That's interesting though because now his parents
Yeah.
have killed the 2 people he's loved the most.
Man, it's crazy.
Is the baby still alive?
The boys are still alive, and the whole thing was Tara was just trying to protect the babies. If you guys saw it, there was a lot of confusion on Gemma's part and what she was misreading.
But she's always trying to kill somebody.
Yeah, Gemma's basically
I feel like she's a fake OG. Like she's an OG, but that's not really an OG.
Sons of Anarchy.
She tries to be an OG.
I've determined is Gemma Tellers, who's played by Katie Seagal of Married with Children. That's her show. Everybody else is just co-stars. But Jax is my favorite show because he has made a transition to where I don't think he can be redeemable now. And now that basically Gemma killed his queen, the girl who was supposed to rescue him, make him more legitimate, make him become a father to his children. Gemma killed her and he doesn't know it. Jax is gonna go ham next season. So season 7, you guys tune in next September. Sons of Anarchy was established before Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad didn't catch on until season 3. Sons of Anarchy has had a solid following for 7
love Sons
seasons.
of Anarchy.
Man, I love that
'Cause
show.
you always talk
man.
about it.
And he always says,
I got
how
a lot.
Breaking Bad didn't
I
get
got a lot of
following.
Sons of Anarchy. I got my
Breaking Bad was
my girl
huge.
Bertie Ulibarri. I got my homegirl Lily Torres. I got my homeboy Albert Fogg. We all just talk about, like, I'll post like things on Facebook about it, and everybody's just like, I can't believe that happened. Oh, it's just crazy. But shout out to my home fellows on Facebook.
Can you just come
Sons of
dressed
Anarchy.
up as a character from Sons of Anarchy like the next one we
Well,
shoot?
Came as Daredevil today.
I'm as Daredevil today. I got. Hey, you guys. Yeah, I'm a man of.
I like
I'm a
this
man of
theme
many.
going on.
I'm a man of many
He had the
mysteries.
Batman mask last time.
Yeah.
You got the Daredevil outfit on this time. This guy.
Oh man.
I love you guys.
Well, we've been talking a lot about mid-season finales this episode. This episode.
That's
It's kind
why
of cool. Mine is this is a review on the mid-season finale of Arrow.
Oh, big surprise! Another mid-season finale review.
We got some spoilers ahead, for you guys that's big into Arrow like I am, but have not seen the most recent episode.
Of Arrow, correct?
Yes. This episode was straight fan service. As from this episode and the episode before that, they introduced Solomon Grundy. So in this last one, he has a much larger role in this, including a transformation at the end into a more familiar look, you might say.
So was this the first person with powers on the show?
Yeah. And there's a lot of throwaway lines, when they're saying, like, who is this guy? Like, I've never seen anything like that. And they'll mention, like, he's still human. Things like that, So it's very interesting.
Is he the one with the mask?
Solomon Grundy?
He's a zombie.
He's the
No,
zombie
on the show, Arrow. Does he wear a mask?
He did have a black mask, like an all black mask,
all right,
and stuff like that. Yeah, but now that we're starting to see almost like a superpowered type character, this is the first time we've really seen anything like that in Arrow. Even though like Ra's al Ghul was been mentioned in a couple episodes before this. The biggest surprise, I think, was seeing Slade Wilson. We've seen him all the time in the flashbacks of Oliver when he's on the island, so that he appears at the end of this episode with the eye patch. This is obviously a much older, or at least 5 to 7 years, how long Ollie's been off the island at this point. So we're seeing him with this eye patch. He's looking awesome. I think that now we've established there's so many big villains with overarching themes, I think, that like this show can easily go 3 more seasons just on this alone. But the biggest thing about this episode and the episode before that was, of course, seeing Barry Allen. They introduced Barry Allen as a forensic scientist slash detective slash wannabe cop type character coming in and helping Oliver and Felicity and Diggle and stuff like that. So at the very end of this last episode, we see him back in Central City. We see the particle accelerator going haywire, and we see the lightning strike that we know gives him his powers that turns into the Flash. So that was just awesome and incredible. I mean, like, just the fact of seeing something like that. I haven't seen, him on TV since Smallville, probably about 10 years ago at this point. So it's just great, like, knowing that he's going to be back in the spin-off show, The Flash, stuff like that. So it was just a great, great, great way to end it.
Well, it gives me what gives Arrow credibility for me is the guy who plays Slade Wilson. I think his name is Manu Bennett. He also played Crixus in Spartacus. And if you guys are Spartacus fans, which I was a Spartacus, like oh my God, Spartacus just rocked it. And Crixus was the man, so he really adds to it. And I did see his part. I didn't watch it all the way through, but I was really paying attention to his part in it. And he actually made an appearance. Spoiler alert. At the end, as the actual Slade, because he had kind of been illusions or memories or illusions.
Well,
but
in this episode, yeah, he had been illusions, but every time we do a flashback to the island, because we still don't know how Ollie got off the island to begin with. We still don't know how we got off.
How Ollie did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've been seeing him there, but yeah, this is the first time seeing him in present day. So yeah.
You know what I like? I like that we're not getting teased like we were in Smallville for 18 years before we got a Superman suit. And now they're just throwing people in there, like a Slade Wilson, like a Solomon Grundy, people that are in the Injustice game pretty much.
Hey, Smallville had characters, though.
They had characters.
The Aquaman
But how long did it
episodes,
take? Like 6 seasons?
Well, you can see Arrow's definitely on an accelerated schedule, and I think it's paying off big for them, to be honest. Because I think they know they can't leave people on a leash like Smallville did, for 5-6 seasons of will they, won't they with Lana, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, check out Arrow. You need to be watching it.
All right, well, as far as entertainment goes, I think we should move on to the topic of the day. And the topic of the day, and I want Adrian to start off, is the best movie trilogy of all time.
Best movie trilogy. Now, I had already said that Wachowski brothers in their efforts with Jupiter Ascending was my ugly because they should be doing a Matrix, right? But for me, I mean, Matrix as Matrix by itself with Reloaded and Revolution is a decent trilogy. But the best trilogy to me, flawlessly, if you can watch them all in one reel back to back, is Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings Two Towers, Lord of the Rings Return of the King. Great, epic. If you watch it, you can't see any flaws in the movie. That is why I consider that to be my best.
What do you
trilogy.
consider flaws, though?
I just didn't see any flaws in the storytelling. I think it all gelled. I bought the extended.
Did you ever read the books?
You know what? I tried to. Mm-hmm. I did. Under serious circumstances that I was in jail, I think. But I tried to read the books, and I couldn't finish. I'm not a really big novelization guy. I have to be able to see pictures and then hear audio and then read it in order to really enjoy it. And for me, Lord of the Rings sucked me in just by the beautiful way that movie was made and it flowed together.
You realize all the Star Wars fans are just going to come out and crucify you in the comments.
You can pick
you.
Star Wars apart with a hay stack. You could just throw.
Oh, man.
You could just throw things.
Oh,
out
man.
But you can't do that with Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry.
Well, I was actually going to say Star Wars.
Because you're a big Star Wars fan.
I love Star Wars. And I'll tell you why I love Star Wars. There's no other movie or trilogy that I know of. And Lord of the Rings is great because it's so detailed. But the thing that I like is if someone can sit there and create a universe and with so little detail, make everyone use their imaginations. So with Star Wars, there was so many little things that you could touch on later that the fandom have created all these other things in this universe. Mm-hmm. There's so many comic books, there's so many graphic novels, there's so many toy lines, there's so many like everyone loves Boba Fett.
The extended universe.
Yes, the extended. Everyone loves Boba Fett. Okay, in the 3 original movies, Boba Fett is a whiner and a pushover and a loser.
He's terrible at his job.
He's the worst bounty hunter I've ever seen. But Darth Vader respects him, maybe because he knew his father. You know, maybe that was the thing. I kind of knew your dad. You know, we were the homies, whatever. But when it comes to Disney buying Star Wars, okay, who owns? Do you guys know who owns Lord of the Rings film rights?
Warner Brothers. I mean,
well, I think it's Warner Brothers.
It's Warner Brothers.
I think the real owners of the Tolkien stories don't like Peter Jackson's and Warner Brothers' efforts in Lord of the Rings.
Okay, so Warner Brothers, huge company, but it's no Disney, obviously.
No, it's not.
it's no Disney.
It's no Disney.
So if Disney comes in as Disney and comes in and says, we're just going to go ahead and take Star Wars, now they're going to be making Star Wars lands in Disney parks and stuff. So you're saying all this came just from 3 movies? There's no... Lord of the Rings doesn't touch an audience like that at all. But it is some of the most... Lord of the Rings is very, very entertaining. Mm-hmm. If I want a good, solid movie, a good sit down and watch this, and I want to dive into a world, Lord of the Rings you go. But if I want to watch a good movie and just watch for entertainment purposes, I want Star Wars anytime. If I had to be in a cave and only watch one movie the rest of my life, it would be or one trilogy the rest of my life, it would be the Star Wars trilogy.
Well, technically, neither one of them are trilogies anymore because there's more than 3 stories, so they're actually catalog movies.
I think we understand. We're talking about the 3 Lord of the Rings and 4 through 6
of Star Wars.
But what I want to touch upon is that because Lord of the Rings was so perfect for me, Peter Jackson's efforts in The Hobbit have been mediocre at best.
I disagree.
I don't think it's the same movie.
I thought Hobbit was one of the most detailed, most beautifully made movies I've ever seen in my life.
What about the story?
It doesn't matter. The story was great. I'm not really a big Lord of the Rings fan. I like Lord of the Rings, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the movies. I'm not into the book. I'm not into it. But when I watched The Hobbit, I was so into what was going on. Mm-hmm. Once they introduced Smeagol, I was like, oh my gosh, this scene is so crazy. My heart was pounding, and that's hard for me to get into a movie like that. I just thought the detail of everything in that movie was just so beautiful.
But did you feel that way because of the Lord of the Rings movie, or because you read the book.
I didn't read the book. That's what I'm saying.
So you really felt that way because of the perfect trilogy that Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
No, I'm saying
Return
as
of the
far
King.
as the movie itself, The Hobbit by itself, it was just a beautifully made movie.
I thought there was a lot of dragging parts in it. I really did think that there were parts of it that captured it, but Hobbit comes out today and it's gotten mediocre reviews, kind of the way that I felt about the first Hobbit. Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that how you said it drags in The Hobbit. Some people can make the same argument for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings drags.
You can make that
You can
argument.
cut the tree people all out.
I like the tree people.
I understand, but I'm just saying you can cut out the tree people. That was a drag part for me. There was a
They
lot of
helped. I mean,
scenes.
they were the ones that helped.
And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like some people can make that argument that
Sometimes
at
I
least
felt
Star
like-
Wars it's much more compact.
Sometimes I felt like it wasn't the same guy behind the camera during the movies. I felt like, there was like 5 different teams filming in 5 different locations at once, and they put it all together. That's how I felt as far as the cinematography went. So they lost me sometimes in the movie with that. And in Star Wars, I'm not trying to compare the two, but in Star Wars, I felt like it was always the same direction and the same view of how the world should look at the same.
Well, it wasn't
all
as
the
wide as a scope as Lord of the
Exactly.
Rings.
Well, just to end my point is that when they filmed the first 3, they filmed it all as one movie, and that's why I say that for me it's perfect, because from Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, Return of the King, it is really just one movie, just joined together, because they were I think all the actors and actresses were in New Zealand for like 2 years filming that movie.
Well, I'm
but
interested.
I agree with you on the Star Wars, because because of the fact that you did mention that they left those holes for future writers to fill in. So I concede that Star Wars is probably better, because Lord of the Rings is complete.
It's done.
Once
That's why it's
you
great.
watch it,
It's a great movie.
Yeah,
It's all
so
right.
I hate to admit
But the
that.
thing I'm excited about is hear what Theo has to say as the filmmaker, because as in comics, I feel I'm one way, and with Theo, I feel like Theo pays a little bit more attention than we do on some of the things that are the smaller things.
Well,
And I'm just so excited. Like, I have the biggest smile on my face.
Well, first of all, for my friends who are listening, you already know what my favorite trilogy of all time is: Back to the Future. Not even a doubt. I've got the posters on my wall. Like Back to the Future is my movie without a doubt. Favorite trilogy of all time. Period. But I would not say it's the best trilogy, because I'm gonna go for a sleeper hit that a lot of people may not think of. I think the best film trilogy ever made is the Toy Story trilogy. You think about watching the first Toy Story, then the second Toy Story, and then the third one, which came out, I think, 4 years ago, something like that. I remember watching the third Toy Story, and I was just like, wow. I mean, not only do you see a movie that literally grows with your audience, like you and me, Ryan and I's age, when Toy Story first came out, this was big. It was Pixar. We played with our toys. We almost had these ideas that our toys did that.
They revolutionized entertainment almost.
Yeah,
I had both Woody and Buzz.
And so,
As toys.
and then going fast forward to the third one, we're older. Our toys are, some of us have left our toys behind a bit, and then we're seeing the same thing. We're seeing Andy leaving his toys behind and stuff like that. It hit home for me so much. I mean, you talk about a perfect story.
So many moments in the movie,
So
too.
many moments in the movie when they're all falling down like the fiery incinerator. I thought they were gonna die. I was like, this is it. That's how toys end, and stuff like that. And I remember sitting at the theater, and I
no one
got a
even
little
knows.
emotional.
And no one even knows.
You don't know. You had no idea. And on top of that, I can say that it doesn't drag out like Lord of the Rings, and I love Lord of the Rings, but it doesn't drag out. And you can also say that it doesn't have so many. I don't want to say plot hole characters, but there's no Boba Fett's or anything like that.
But it's hitting specific highlights of these characters.
Yes.
And
Everybody's got a complete thing, from Jesse introduced in the second one to when they talk in passing about Slink. Who the character, his voice died after the first.
I
one,
think Toy Story could be a regular series. I think that could be like a prime time show.
It could. Yeah.
And just be on.
It could
And
be a
probably-
TV show forever.
It could forever.
Because you just want to see those adventures.
Like, I would love to see, and nothing corny either. I'm talking about well produced. Like, just make a 6-hour Pixar movie, guys, and then just break it up in episodes.
Well, you did notice how I said I had a Woody and Buzz doll, and I'm 14 years older than you. You guys were kids when you saw it, so that just shows you how crazy I am. But I said I had one.
So I do have a sleeper trilogy.
Right.
And I don't know if this is really a trilogy, but I was thinking
Let me have it.
of National Lampoon's
Ooh.
Family Vacations.
Those are some those were some solid
Unlike
films.
Vegas. Vegas is my best one.
You don't like Vegas?
I like Vegas.
Oh, I was about to say, I was like, Vegas,
Vegas is the
best.
Vegas is the best one, dude.
Because we were all looking at it like that could be us. That could have easily been us.
Yeah.
You don't think I've been thought about those films in forever?
I love those movies.
I like European
I'm
a
a huge
lot.
Chevy Chase fan, by the way.
Yeah, I like European a lot, and I like, but Vegas, that just set it up for me. Like the son was just the luckiest guy in the world.
I was Team Chevy Chase in the community. The community battle. It was like Chevy Chase is crazy. I'm like, yeah, that's right.
That's this big smile on his face. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. You didn't know?
I grew up watching Chevy Chase when he was actually a member of Saturday Night Live, and he was the man on Saturday Night Live. Like a lot of people don't know that
Like
Chevy
Will Ferrell. Like,
Yeah, no,
like Chevy Chase was like Will Ferrell for that time.
I'm just saying, since you're a fossil almost,
I still
comparing the
am very handsome, though.
the two medias as far as like popularity, who was bigger, Chevy Chase or Will Ferrell?
Will Ferrell is reaching more people because of the fact that Will Ferrell has viral campaigns. He's
I don't like
commercial-
his new Anchorman commercials though.
Well, I mean, he's just trying to hype up a mediocre movie. I really wasn't a big fan of the Anchorman anyway.
Did you see number 2 already? Or
No.
not yet?
I'm just talking about the original one. It's a good movie if you're just gonna chill. But he's got a lot of other funnier films than Anchorman to me. But yeah.
I want to say something interesting here. I mean, like we're talking about three nerdiacs here. No one mentioned the Dark Knight trilogy.
I hate the Dark Knight trilogy. I thought we
Is
went over that.
garbage,
No, I just
dude.
want to say. I mean, like that's. I just want to say, like that's pretty interesting. You know that like.
I'm glad Warner Brothers got rid of Nolan.
No Nolan, no Bale.
No
Should've never
Bale.
happened.
Man, I
Thank
guess.
you.
I guess
Nolan's
you know
not a
how these
nerd. He's not a
guys-
comic nerd. Why do you have a
not.
non-comic nerd directing a movie?
He's not
about
British, but
comics?
he's Welsh.
You and your nationalism.
I know, dude.
Yeah, I just thought that's interesting. I just wanted to-
Why is that one of your honorable mentions?
No, not at all.
Okay,
Not
so
at
that's
all.
why nobody mentioned it.
No.
So I wanted to go on a final point. We got a couple more minutes here, and I wanted to spring this on you because I was thinking about it. So it's the whole Spider-Man Fox thing. I'm gonna go back to that real quick. We all know in Superior Spider-Man, Peter Parker is now Doc Ock. We always talk about it. It's very sad.
So awesome, dude.
Do you think that Marvel purposely got rid of Peter Parker so Fox had to push a Spider-Man that is non-existent at this point? Have you ever thought about that? Because they got rid of Peter Parker as soon as they said they're going to do Amazing Spider-Man 2, pretty much. Like, they said as soon as Amazing Spider-Man 2, new Peter Parker.
Well,
And Peter Parker's no longer there. So now they're saying, Peter Parker Spider-Man, come see the movie about Peter Parker being Spider-Man. But then you come in the shop and Peter Parker's not Spider-Man. So do you think that loses a little credibility for the movie?
You almost think like Marvel's maybe trying to undercut Fox.
Exactly,
that's
because
what I'm
they
saying.
own the real rights to it, pretty
and,
much.
and,
the
and that
bloodline.
directly, I'm sorry, but that directly translates into why I say that the X-Men Apocalypse and all the Bryan Singer X-Men efforts, because I think it directly translates into the comics, because I don't see Marvel promoting X-Men and Spider-Man movies. They will let them put them on their website, but Marvel is not as gun-ho for the X-Men First Class.
Well, that was my
movies.
question. Do you
Yeah.
think that
Yes,
Marvel
exactly.
purposely undercut him?
Exactly.
I'm going to say no, and this is why. Because I know that Otto is Peter Parker, et cetera, et cetera. We know this, but my dad doesn't know that. His friends don't know that. A lot of my friends, all of our friends that are outside the Nerdiac circle don't know that stuff. And I don't think that necessarily would affect too many things because so little of us, if you look at the broad scope of how many people are going to see Amazing Spider-Man 2, will go see that film, I don't think that many people will be bothered by that. That's my own personal
Do you agree
personal
with him,
viewpoint.
Adrian?
I agree with you. I think that Marvel being owned by Disney's the comic books, the source material is owned by Disney. They're nowhere near going to promote any other properties other than their own properties that they know that now they're getting a piece of the Fox and the Sony, but they're not going to be like, yeah, Spider-Man, no, Avengers, Age of Ultron. They're not going to be.
We can all agree then on that point that these movies are for more of the Y fan base than for the actual nerds.
Of course.
But I think it's a travesty. I think it's a travesty, at least in the near future, at least 10 years out, that you won't see Spider-Man. You might see Spider-Man. Like I said, Sony, Marvel, I think they might have a conciliatory relationship, but I don't see that with Fox. I don't. And to leave the X-Men out of the Marvel Studios universe is a travesty to the comic book, because the comic book set so many standards and brought so many people into the comic book medium with their realistic stories and how they affected the Marvel universe. That's just my opinion.
Well, we always talk a lot. That's why we're the Nerdy Acts. And it's about that time again.
About that time.
This is great this evening.
Everybody go watch
Thank you
Back to
guys
the
for
Future.
coming.
Go watch Back to the Future.
I would say now go watch Star Wars, because Ryan kind of made me think that, because you can add on to Star Wars.
Well, I just thought about it. I can watch Star Wars Blu-ray on my new TV.
Yeah, but you know what you can't watch on Star Wars? Hoverboards. I'm Theo, guys.
I'm Ryan from Ryan's Comics.
Adrian Murphy, a.k.a. Prophet Alpha.
And we're out.
Nerdy, now I rock with nerdy, nerdy. I wear glasses, I play magic, hack your Facebook, you ain't even know what half. Give a damn about fashion, damn about bottles. I can spend that on a new Grand Theft Auto. You now rocking with the nerdy acts, come kick it where the nerds be at. Hey, now rocking with the nerdy acts, come kick it where the nerds be at. Hey, now rocking with the nerdy acts, come kick it where the nerds be at. Hey, now rocking with the nerdy acts, come kick it where the nerds be at.
Hey, we nerdy acts, nerd and brainiacs combined. Listen, genius, witty, Voltron, head of committee. Discombobulate hate out of deep contemplation. Roll this in the juice using deep concentration. With no hesitation, the roof we gotta race it. We out this world super rare, who want a battle catcher? In a rage, turn my snap back to the back. In my backpack, comic books and cards stack.
You now rocking with the nerdy acts, come kick it where the nerds be at. Hey, now rocking with the nerdy acts, come kick it where the nerds be at. Hey, now rocking with the nerdy acts, come kick it where the nerds be at. Hey, now rocking with the nerdy acts, come kick it where the nerds be at.
I be the brains of the operation, but I love games, so don't break my concentration till I'm done playing. And I'll be getting paid doing things you couldn't say. Ain't no calling me a lame, cause